Welcome to another edition of Fall Rise Give. I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm Bob. That's Vipin, and we're doing this. We're doing this podcast called Fall Rise Give, and we've been doing it now for it's coming up on 2 years, and it started off as a pet project for you, Vipin, and it's turned into for me, it's turned into more. It's turned into a good friendship. It's turned into a person that I can talk to on a regular basis. It's kind of therapeutic for me, and I'm guessing it is for you as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we took a break this summer. We only did it once a month, and I really missed it. And so for me, I really like doing it. Success of it will come when it's the right time,
Right.
as far as the millions of listeners and things like that. But for now, I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking about topics that are top of mind for me on a weekly basis. And if we're bringing joy and or insight into people's lives, one or two people, um, that's enough for me for now. And we're
Right.
getting better and better at it. And hopefully we're bringing more and more insights into people.
Back in the years when I was in radio, I was kind of entrepreneurial-ish, and I believe I still am. I ran the pop machine at work. I bought the domain name lacrossewisconsin.com, and I held onto that, and I sold ads on it, and I bought historic downtown lacrosse, and I sold ads on all of these. And I remember this lady told me a long time ago, she was a program director of one of the radio stations. She said, "You know what, Bob?" She goes, "You will be a millionaire." And I never pursued that.
Yeah.
It was, I pursued I pursued having children and living a good, comfortable life. And like my stepdad always says to me, he goes, "Bob, you're one of the richest men I know." Even
Yeah.
though it's not with money, it's just I feel like I'm rich beyond what I really deserve just by the opportunities that I've had and things like that. And I know that I know that you're a millionaire, and I know that you've done very well. And so let's talk a little bit about that today. Let's talk about the science of getting rich. And for me, the rich part is the lifestyle that I have. For you, the rich part is money. And I think that there's a combination probably of both of those that will appease anybody that's listening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think money is just part of it, Bob. And I think I think to dilute it, money really dilutes it. And, there's all sorts of conflicts that people have around money, right? And I was listening to a podcast this week by Lewis Howes, and a woman, I think Jen Sincero was on there. Um, she has a multiple books on the badass. You can be badass at making money and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
she mentioned this book, Science of Getting Rich, and I immediately liked the idea. She said that she's a New York Times bestseller, and she mentioned this book was the number one book that influenced her. And so that got me curious. I'm like, what is this book about? And so I bought the book, read a couple of chapters of it, and then I was going for a drive, and I listened to the whole podcast, or the whole audio book. I actually got a subscription to Audible because I do a lot of driving, and so I wanted to listen to it. As you know, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So this book really stuck with me because it's the foundation of two of the books and two of the philosophies that I really like in life. One is by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. We've talked about that before,
Yep.
where he talks about the secrets of getting rich. And then there is a book and a video called The Secret, and it's by Rhonda Byrne. She's from Australia. She made a big movement in like early 2000s, late 90s, I think, with the video called The Secret. And The Secret is really all about the law of attraction. So this book is being credited as the foundational pieces of those two philosophies. And Science of Getting Rich by Richard Wattles. I think it's Richard Wattles. Is it Richard or is it Walter Wattles?
Wallace.
Wallace Wattles. Yeah, Wallace
Wallace.
Wattles. And so this book was written in 1910. And so you can imagine it's stood the test of time. It's still a bestseller. You can get it on Amazon. I highly recommend it for people who want to create wealth. So wealth and money are two separate things. And Science of Getting Rich, I think you're rich already, Bob. We've talked about you being successful. Your son's a multimillionaire. and me being successful in business, had gone through lots of ups and downs. But really, money, as Jen said as well, can have a lot of conflict in people. They feel guilty about talking about money in public. They don't want to tell. It's not culturally sound in our culture to say, "Hey, I'm worth so much," or "I, how much money do you make?" Those kind of conversations are a big no-no. Whereas other cultures, it's more important, not more important, but it's not looked down upon to talk about money.
Hmm.
And Lewis Howes was interviewing somebody else, and he talked about money as well. He's got a book out there. It's called "Making Money Easy." So money is a hot topic for a lot of people. That's why I thought we'd talk about it. But also creates a negative connotation in our culture about, it's kind of one of those dirty words like sex, right? We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to have it, but we always have thoughts on daily basis about these things. And so
Wait a minute. Wait. You said we don't want to have it. I want to have money and sex. I'm just going to stop you right there.
exactly, exactly.
Both of those things I want to have.
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody wants to have it, but I think we don't like talking about these things, and nobody teaches us skills in both of these areas. And so these
Right.
skills are really important to talk about. And so I think there is a science of getting rich. There is a science of creating wealth, and I think this book is really a good basis for it. So it's got these six principles, and so let's talk about those six principles today. The first
All
one
right.
is the first one is there is a science to getting rich. Um, the laws of wealth are just like physics or math. If you follow the formula correctly, the results are inevitable. That's what he says, and I agree with it. And basically, what he goes on to say is that the right level of thought, the second principle is power of thought. Your dominant thoughts shape your reality. When you think in terms of abundance, you get abundance. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
Well, I was actually going to follow up with that power of thought because it's funny. We've talked about manifestation a lot on this show, and
A lot
in the
lately.
last in the last couple of weeks, I've had this cold and I've had this cough, and it's been dragging me down. A lot of my videos that pop up on Facebook now and on Instagram, or not Instagram, but whatever. They're popping up. They're about thinking positive. So in the mornings, and basically the stuff we've been talking about in the mornings, I've been telling myself, I'm going to feel great. It's going to be the best day ever. And I feel like my cold is getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not coughing as much. And so I really do believe that power of thought is there, and it helps you out in so many different ways.
It does. It does. We are a result of our thoughts, which determine our feelings and our emotions, right? And so, whatever dominant thought you hold, you end up resulting. People with the mindset of scarcity tend to get scarcity in life. They tend to be more fear based and tend to have a different mindset. And so, power of thought is clear. So, the biggest thing is to have a dominant thought around whatever you want in life. And so, if you want to get rich, you've got to believe in an abundance mindset that there's plenty of money out there for you to have, that there's plenty of things you can do to create money, and you can actually get it. The mindset really is, there's two different kind of mindsets around money, and there's a scarcity mindset, which is the competitive mindset, as he calls it, which is based on fear, stress, limitations in the world. A lot of us believe these things, and we end up living by these things. And then there is the mindset of creativity, confidence, opportunity, growth. Um, the creative mindset really has been for me. I tend to create things. As I mentioned, I created a company. I've had one success and a couple of failures along the way, but really about creativity and desire. We talk about the second chakra on that when we get blocked with that as well. So you've got to
Hmm.
really shift your mindset around creativity and really got to focus on creating wealth. You can do it. You don't necessarily need to know how, just need to get started. And the fourth principles that he talks about is just getting started is act in a certain way. So thinking is just not enough. We've talked about power of thought, the right way of thinking, and the right way of thinking allows you to believe in a creative mindset. And once you start to believe, then you got to start acting. We've talked about action a lot, but efficient action. You have to do your work exceptionally well. Whatever work that you're doing, you start today. That's the root chakra that we've talked about in the past, right? You start with where you're at. You start by doing your daily activities the best that you can. You develop habits of mindset, of gratitude, and things like that, which is another thing that he talks about, actually. And we've talked about gratitude a lot, right? It shifts your mindset to the not only that creativity, but abundance. When you feel gratitude for things that you already have, you attract more of what you want. It's really a universal spiritual principle, a spiritual mindset that we've talked about as well. So, gratitude allows you to tap and open the spiritual, creative mindset of wealth and abundance. After wealth, after gratitude, he talks about wealth being of moral good. I heard this a long time ago where somebody said basically that the best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. And there's a lot of people and a lot of philosophies that feel like people like billionaires are evil or people who are successful are evil or whatever. But I think those people tend to give, they may not all of them give, but there's a lot of them that give a lot more money and can actually create the wealth and you have more ability to give when you're wealthy than when you do when you're poor.
Well, I think you have more ability to give monetary donations, but I think that a lot of, because I've never been a rich monetary person, but I feel like I've been, as we've talked about, I feel like I'm rich in life. I give I give more time than money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And time is a valuable commodity because you only get so much in life. Whereas money, you can always make more, and it's because
Exactly.
my kids have actually pointed that out to me. They're like, Dad, you can make more money. Hello. Don't
Yeah.
be such a cheap ass.
Exactly. No, I think that really interesting part about it is you have that attitude of gratitude, then you start to give more. And the more you
Yeah.
give, and one of the things that he talks about in the book that I found value is you can give more in use value and you can get more monetary value. So for
Mm.
example, the richest person in the world is Elon Musk. Not a fan of the guy, but he's created this electric car economy. For a number of years, his car was ranked number one selling car outside of that Ford F 150. Ford F 150 is the number one selling car in the US for the last 30 years, something like that. But his car was number two. Actually, as a car, the Tesla is the number one car. I hate even talking about the guy because we always think negative connotations about him. But he created this economy. He gave more in use value to people by shifting to electric motor vehicles. Now there's charging stations everywhere you go. There's a Tesla charging station that he's even allowing to other car companies to use. He's created this infrastructure and he's created more value and shifted the mindset and really kickstarted the electrical motor vehicle business in such a way that is so much better for the economy, and he's given so much use value that giving him 30, 40, $50,000 for a car, you're getting much more value out of it than you would by just giving that money to another car company. You're
Would
saving a
you
lot of money in gas and better for the economy and things like that.
would you drive an electric car, an all electric car?
Yeah, I don't drive one right now. I've had hybrids,
Hmm.
but my brother-in-law has a Tesla. My friends have Teslas. My friends have Rivians. A lot of them have electrical cars. I do want to get the all-electric Porsche down the road. Not right now. I'm pretty happy with the car that I have right now. But down the road, I think I am going to have a full electric car.
See, I think there's a big difference as you live in a major metropolitan area, Seattle. I live in a town of 191 people, Ferryville, Wisconsin,
Yeah,
and there are no charging stations anywhere near me. I mean, the nearest one I think would probably be La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is 40 miles away. I did, while I was in California a year ago, drive a Volt or a Bolt, a Chevy, and
yeah, Chevy Volt. Yeah,
it was 100% electric car. I enjoyed driving it. It had good pickup. It was weird not to hear anything when you turned it over.
yeah,
The brakes, I mean, it drove well. It was hard to find charging stations even for that in California, where they have a lot of charging stations because there's so many different types of charging stations and so many different opportunities for people to have their wares and their apps and they're this and they're that, and I found it to be kind of a drag because I wanted to go from here to there and I had to wait for 2 hours for it to get a 75% charge.
Yeah, there's downsides to any sort of a new economy, right? And new ways of creating value. And so I think that's only going to get better and better. I think in the old days you had to wait at the gas station, right?
Yeah.
Early days on, there was lines out the gas station. So I think the same kind of thing. But my point really is not about electric cars as it is about creating a new economy, creating more value. So, for example, if we talk about the book that I'm writing, Money and Mantras, the use for name, I want to be able to charge, let's say, $20 for the book or
Hmm.
$10 for the book. It doesn't really matter. But I hope the reader gets more than $10 worth of value out of the book. So they're going to
Oh,
give me a
absolutely.
monetary value, but I'm hoping that they get to make $100,000 a year minimum out of the book, right? So the
Hmm.
values and the principles that they get out of the book. So when you go to a restaurant, you spend 25, $30 on a meal. You're getting value out of that meal that you're willing to pay for somebody because you don't want to cook. You can't probably make that dish at home for that amount of money or with that same taste or that value. So you're willing to give $25 to be able to have a night free of cooking at home. That's the value that you're getting out of it. So anything that you do create in an economy, if you're selling a product or service, which is really a great way to make money, you want to create, you want to be able to add more value to other people. And for that, they're going to give you a monetary value back. And that's how the richest people in the world have done in software or in the old days of banking or oil and gas industries and things like that. They create more value for you rather than, and you're willing to trade that value for a dollar amount.
And that's the win-win, um what's the word I'm looking for, philosophy that things I think shifted to in the 80s and 90s. That, I mean, if you're buying something from somebody, it's got to be a win all around. I know that back in the day they used to have like high pressure salesmen that would, you know, they would win. You would think you won, but you didn't. But I think things shifted toward more of the consumer now, where the consumer's getting a deal and the dealer's getting a dealer. Like when you're buying a car or any of that stuff, it's a win. It's got to be win-win. Otherwise it's really not a good deal.
Exactly, exactly. And that goes back to that mindset of creating wealth, that competitive or fear based and competitive and scarcity based versus opportunity and positive and mindset. So he talks, Wallace Waddles talks a lot about being in the mindset of creativity, of opportunity and growth. There's plenty of money for other people to make. There's more and more
Hmm.
billionaires coming up every year that came out of nowhere. This opportunity with AI is fascinating. You and I have talked about AI and different gadgets and things like that. AI is going to change the world upside down. And so, what can you create with AI that can help you make money? Thinking about that, back in the old days, you had to hire a software developer to build an app for you. Today, you can go to a website called Base 44 or many of them others like it and create an app or a website in a matter of minutes. And you can actually go create these things without having any technical knowledge. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah. So that's something that I'd want to have you check out and have our users check out. Base 44, I think it's just Google Base 44, and you can go create your own app. And creating value is really about, that's how those guys are doing well. I created a wealth, not wealth. I created an app over the Thanksgiving holidays on Base 44 about meditation, a meditation coaching app in a matter of minutes, which was really cool. And so I think there's better and better ways for you to make money. The land grab thing may be over from a land standpoint, but from
Hmm.
a new economy, there's more .com and software billionaires, and then there are more real estate slash land grab people out there. Even though real estate is limited, so people make a lot of money in real estate as well. I don't want to cut that down at all. I'm just saying there's tons
Right.
of opportunity everywhere for you to make money, and you got to have the right mindset, you got to have the right thought process, and then more importantly, you got to take efficient action around that. The right action, doing the best that you can, thinking and doing in the right way. That's really the key.
It's funny that you that you kind of you're doing a perfect job at just riding us right through the book, because the next thing is act a certain way, and you're talking about action and acting, and here you go. So here we're into step number 4 now on this book.
Yeah, no, he's acting in a certain way. It's always about action. People think they have to get ready. They're like, "Oh, I'm not ready yet." Start wherever you're at. I think the first podcast we
Yep.
talked about just starting wherever you're at. Do something different. Write down your goals. Take daily action on it, right? And have a very clear picture of what you want, and then break it down to bite size. We might have even talked about it last week.
We did talk about it last week.
Yeah,
That's exactly what we talked about this last week.
yeah. And so to be able to take the right efficient action where you're at, you don't know how things are going to turn out, but you control what you can control, which is the action that you can take on a daily basis. And then
Right.
he talks about being gratitude. Now, the other thing is with gratitude is it's something I learned in the book that I hadn't been conscious of. Um, be thankful for things that you don't have yet.
Explain.
Yeah. So he's saying, imagine that you already have these things that you want. Let's say you want this house on a beach in California. And so instead of just saying that I want this house as a dreamer and just thinking about it and not really acting on it, think about the fact that you already have this house and be thankful to God or your higher power or whatever, the universe, saying, I already have this house. Thank you for having me have this house.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that does is starts to open up the spiritual taps of you being grateful for something. And what that gratitude allows you to do is to start believing that you can actually achieve it. And once you start believing, that's when you take action.
Well, then it puts it in your mind too. So then you're positively thinking about, hey, I've got this great house that's on the beach, and I can overlook and see the ocean and hear the crashes of the waves, and I can see the boats in the horizon, and pretty soon you're living that, and you're like, I'm working hard now to get to that point.
Exactly. And if you
Right.
can't imagine it, you can't achieve it, right? That's the biggest thing.
Right.
And you're not going to work hard for something that you can't imagine that you believe is possible. And that's where I think 99% of the people fail. They fail at taking the right action because they don't actually believe they can
Mm-hmm.
get what they want. So we talked last week about things that get in the way of manifestation, removing those blocks. And the biggest block that we have is we don't believe that we can get what we want. And if you
Well, I
believe in
think
gratitude and start imagining it and put that thought every single day in your mind, you're well on your way to taking that action. And that's when you believe will happen.
we are our biggest obstacles. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm my worst critic. You're probably your worst critic. I find that if there's self doubt going on, or if there's doubt going on, a lot of it is self doubt. And I've been working hard at it, Vipin. I've been working hard to not be that negative person. I try to think of things in a positive light, try to do things to the best of my ability. And once I started doing that little piece right there, saying, I hope I do the best, or I'm trying to do the best that I can, and let's do this. And you do that. I do it as a, please God, help me to do the best job that I can do.
Yeah.
And since I've started doing that, I think that the self-doubt has kind of slipped away a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's still every once in a while you get that nagging feeling back here that's like, you can do better. You can do blah blah blah.
Yeah. And I think that's human. I don't think these books and these philosophies have to be 100%. You're going to be human. You're not going to, I think it's percentages game. If you have positive thoughts or possibility thinking thoughts or gratitude thoughts, abundant thoughts, creativity mindset thoughts, more than you have the doubt thoughts, you're in the winning side of the formula. You're going to have doubts. I think you have to act, despise the doubts. I think you're going to have to be grateful despite the fact, because we have such an incredible opportunity in this world. Even though you may live in a small town, you still have the same infrastructure. You have the internet, you're able to get online, you're able to do this podcast from wherever you're at. People can do all sorts of electronic businesses from Ferryville, Wisconsin. So you just got to open up your tab saying, you can say, I'm limited. I don't have an electric charger. I can't do electrical battery type work in there. Maybe what you do is maybe you think about a possibility and you say, hey, cars are getting popular around here. Maybe there's a way to talk to a local gas station and put a charger in there. Maybe there's a way that you can go buy a charging station and rent it out to people. I don't know. But the point being is that think of the possibilities rather than thinking of scarcity, and you may be able to solve more of a problem.
Well, those are oftentimes when people become millionaires anyways. When you create a solution to a problem, that's generally something that's going to make you money.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And the trends exactly is the way to go. Like this AI thing, I highly, highly recommend for people to start thinking about how can they utilize AI. At work this week on my day job, I met with my team and we used something that would have taken, I remember back when I worked at Microsoft, it would have taken us a whole day's worth of workshop to create value propositions, which is really around the benefits of whatever tool or product we were selling, creating a value proposition for it. And we gave it some data on a page and told the AI, hey, give me a value proposition for this software product or set of features. And it spit out a paragraph in value proposition for each one of these products that we had, 4 of them. And in a matter of 45 minutes, we created it. And I talked to the team lead for each one of the products. And they said to me, oh my God, I couldn't have written it any better. So in a matter of 45 minutes, we were able to create this value proposition that we edited and made it even better by little, but we didn't really change it. 90% of it, we used what we had. And it's amazing the power of technology to be able to leverage to get what you want. We use AI to save a ton of time. We got this big meetings tomorrow at work, and we're going to walk in there with this very thoughtful set of documentation that we can have a big discussion around, and all because the AI saved us hours and hours worth of work.
I would like to have us talk about AI next week.
Okay.
I think that would be a good topic for us to talk about because I've used it a lot. You're using it, and I think that would be a good topic. I want to get back to this book here. The 6th thing is wealth as a moral good. What is that? What is meant by that?
That's a really, really good way to end this. We just talked about a few minutes ago about the best you can do for the poor is not be one of them. But think about growth of an economy. This is where capitalism versus socialism is a huge deal, right? The more you reward the person who creates value, the more money and monetary value that they generate. That person then has the ability to grow the universe, grow the economy, create more jobs. You can do so much more with the mindset of that. It reminds, in the book, Wallace Wattles talks about more will be given to the ones that have more. And so has the ability, if you create more value, you have the moral ability to help other people. And I think that's moral goodness. You can't help anybody, even yourself, if you're not rich. It's a moral obligation to be rich, because what you want to do is not just feed somebody with help people get some food. You want to teach other people to fish so they can catch their own food, right? Or be a farmer to get their own food made and things like that. So it's a moral obligation to be rich so you can help other people be rich and be successful.
Help yourself first, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
help yourself first, and then just like they say in the airplane, when the mask falls, put it on yourself first, and then help out other people.
It's really imperative that if anybody walks away from this podcast today, it's a moral obligation for you to be rich. I honestly believe the more we have, the more we can give of our time. If you are rich and not worried about working full time, and you had more free time, you can give more of your time. You can give more and more once you have more.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall Rise Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall Rise Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.